12 painful truths about aging no one warns you about, until it's too late. Have you ever noticed how, as people get older, they sometimes develop habits that quietly push others away, and no one warns them about it? It's not just about wrinkles or slowing down. Some patterns can make aging feel lonelier, heavier, even more frustrating. The most alarming part? Most seniors have no idea they are even doing it. From seemingly harmless daily routines to deeply ingrained behaviors, these habits can slowly chip away at relationships and well-being. But here's the hopeful part: once you recognize them, you can change them. Take Margaret, a retired librarian, 71, who was once the heartbeat of her neighborhood. She loved catching up with neighbors, sharing book recommendations, and always had a warm smile ready. But over time, something shifted. Fewer visits, fewer phone calls. Family gatherings started happening without her. At first, she thought, maybe everyone's just busy. But deep down, she began to wonder, had she done something to push people away? Margaret didn't intend to isolate herself. But little by little, her habits added up. More complaining, less self-care, one-sided conversations, resistance to anything new, even when she needed help. Without realizing it, she was building emotional walls that kept loved ones at a distance. And she's not alone. Countless older adults fall into the same subtle traps, making the aging process lonelier and harder than it needs to be. But it's never too late to make a shift. In fact, simply becoming aware of these behaviors is the first step to deeper connection, stronger relationships, and a more fulfilling life. So, let's dive into 12 surprisingly common but rarely discussed habits, and more importantly, how to avoid them. Because habit number 7, that one shocks almost everyone. And by the time most people notice it, it's already done damage. Before we begin, if you find value in this video, take a second to like and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more life-changing insights to people just like you. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Becoming too negative or overly critical. Have you ever noticed that some people seem to get more irritable and critical as they age? They claim they are just being honest, but somehow, the people around them start to drift away. It raises a tough question: is that honesty a sign of wisdom, or is it a form of chronic negativity they no longer recognize? Take Marjorie, for example. She's 74, a retired literature teacher once adored by her students. Since retiring, she's developed a habit of constantly complaining about the state of the world, rising prices, and how her kids and grandkids never listen. She believes she's just telling it like it is. But strangely, her daughter calls less and less, and her grandson spends most visits glued to his phone. It wasn't until a psychologist friend gently asked, "When was the last time someone walked away from a conversation with you feeling better?" that Marjorie paused and reflected. From a medical perspective, research from Harvard Health shows that repetitive negative thinking can overstimulate the amygdala, the brain's fear center, and suppress activity in the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for empathy and sound decision-making. Additionally, the Journal of Cognitive Neuroscience has found that chronic negativity can shrink the hippocampus, a key area for memory and emotion, raising the risk of dementia in older adults. So, what can you do? Try this simple practice. Start conversations with something positive. As Oprah Winfrey once said, "I always begin my day with something I'm grateful for, no matter how small." You might also try giving yourself just 2 minutes to vent and gently shift the conversation towards something constructive. Instead of judging, try asking, "What do you like about that?" Instead of, "Back in my day, kids weren't like that." Remember, the most magnetic people aren't the loudest talkers, they are the ones who leave others feeling lighter after a conversation. And sometimes, to start healing across generations, all it takes is a smile, a compliment, or one moment of real listening. Hand pointing right. Have you ever been in a situation where negativity pushed others away? What helped you reconnect? Feel free to share. Number 2. Neglecting personal hygiene and appearance. Have you ever noticed that some people stop looking in a mirror as they get older? Not because they don't own one, but because they no longer feel the need to see themselves. "I don't go anywhere, so it doesn't matter what I wear." It may sound harmless, but in truth, it often signals something deeper, a quiet disconnect between a person and themselves. Take Helen, for example. At 75, she was once known for her bright silk scarves and her signature Bordeaux red lipstick. But after her husband passed away, she stopped putting on makeup and no longer changed her clothes daily. Then one day, her young granddaughter drew a picture of Grandma, messy hair, a gray face, and no mouth. That drawing left Helen speechless. The next morning, she pulled on her favorite blouse and added a touch of lipstick. The woman looking back in the mirror was different, alive again. From a medical standpoint, the Gerontological Society of America found that older adults who continue caring about their appearance report 35% higher levels of life satisfaction and personal autonomy. Simple acts like brushing your hair, putting on a clean outfit, or applying moisturizer not only trigger dopamine in the brain, they send a powerful message. I still matter. You don't need expensive clothes or fancy makeup. Just start each day by looking in the mirror and saying, "I'm still me." Taking care of yourself is a gentle form of resistance against the invisibility that often comes with aging. Hand pointing right. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and saw your inner light shining back at you? What helps you feel like you're still you? Number 3. Becoming stubborn and resistant to change. Many older adults hold on to the belief, "What I know is enough." They feel comfortable with their old habits, from how they use a phone to how they communicate. But what often goes unnoticed is this: when you resist change, you're not just avoiding technology, you may be missing out on connection. Henry, age 81, once said, "If they want to talk to me, they can call. I don't need a fancy smartphone." But that year, he didn't get a birthday message from his grandson, missed a video of his son's newborn daughter, and lost touch with everyday family updates, all because he wasn't part of the family group chat. At Christmas, his son printed out 30 pages of conversations from that chat. Henry sat in silence. A week later, he asked his grandson to help set up a phone. And from that day on, his life went online. From a brain health perspective, learning new things activates the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and adaptation. According to Harvard Health, older adults who learn simple technologies, like texting or video calling, can reduce the risk of dementia by up to 27%. More importantly, they feel more connected to the people they love. Start with a simple phrase. Can you show me how? One message, one video call, one try at using an online appointment app. Every small step is a bridge you build back to a changing world. Hand pointing right. Is there something new you've been avoiding just because it feels like it's not for you? If you gave it a second chance, how might that shift your connection with your loved ones? Number 4. Hoarding and the struggle to let go of old belongings. Have you ever walked into a home so full of stuff there's barely a place to sit, yet every item comes with a story? A wedding dress from 1974. A stack of yellowed newspapers with an article worth rereading someday. Unsent letters tucked in drawers. What's striking is that the person living there doesn't see clutter, they see comfort. Elaine, 78, lived in a cozy home filled with memories. When her daughter gently suggested they clear a few things out to make some space, Elaine sprang up defensively. Don't touch anything. Every item has meaning. But one day, she tripped over a box in the hallway and couldn't find her blood pressure meds in the mess. That's when she quietly admitted, "This isn't about memories anymore. This is chaos." According to the Cleveland Clinic, hoarding behavior often shows up in older adults due to fear of loss, cognitive decline, or anxiety. While holding on to things can reduce anxiety in the short term, over time it impairs brain function, specifically in the prefrontal cortex and insula, which control decision-making and emotional regulation. The result? Not just mental stress, but increased risks of falls, infections, and even depression. So where do you begin? Start with one small drawer. Ask yourself, does this item still bring me joy, security, or usefulness? If not, thank it for its role in your life and gently let it go. Passing cherished items along with their stories to your children or grandchildren can transform the act of giving away into one of passing down. A tidy room doesn't just help you breathe easier, it creates space for deeper connection with your loved ones, and with the present moment. Hand pointing right. Are you holding on to something just in case? Is it lifting you up or holding you back? Number 5. Losing patience with others too easily. Have you ever found yourself snapping over something small like a young cashier fumbling with change, or an elderly person taking too long at the ATM? What's surprising is that even you can't quite explain why you got so irritated. The answer may not lie in the other person but in your own brain and hormones. Frank, 82, used to be one of the calmest people around. But one day while waiting in line at the grocery store, he snapped at the cashier. "What's taking you so long?" The boy looked down, hands trembling. The next day, Frank learned the boy was on the autism spectrum, working a trial internship. "I felt ashamed for an entire week," Frank admitted. "I didn't just hurt someone else, I hurt myself too." According to Mayo Clinic, age-related changes like lower dopamine levels, poor sleep, or chronic pain can raise cortisol, the body's stress hormone. That makes older adults more prone to irritability and outbursts. But this isn't a sign of a bad attitude. It's a sign that the nervous system is overloaded. The solution isn't just to tough it out. Instead, pause for 5 seconds. Take a deep breath. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. What if that were my grandchild? A simple, gentle phrase, "It's okay, take your time," can sometimes heal more than any prescription ever could. Hand pointing right. Have you noticed yourself getting frustrated more easily lately? What might your body be trying to tell you through those moments of anger? Number 6. Talking too much and not really listening. Have you ever caught yourself talking a lot but can't quite remember the last time you truly listened to someone else? As we grow older, we accumulate more experiences, and without realizing it, our conversations can turn into solo performances. But behind this isn't a bad habit, it's often a quiet fear. The fear of being forgotten. Gloria, 70, called her daughter every day. But lately, her daughter started avoiding the calls. When asked why, she gently replied, "I still want to talk to you, Mom, but I want us to talk with each other, not just listen to you talk." Gloria was stunned. She had never realized that oversharing could actually be closing the door to real connection. Neurologically speaking, brain imaging studies, fMRI, show that older adults tend to compress time. Recent memories can feel just as vivid as long-term ones, while the present feels more abstract. This makes it more natural to tell stories from the past than to engage in the now. On top of that, when someone feels like they are no longer important, they may talk more just to feel seen and heard. But connection begins with pausing. Try using the 5-minute mirror rule. If you've been speaking for a while, ask, "And what about you?" Resist the urge to interrupt. Instead, open the door to a two-way conversation with a question like, "What made you happy today?" Listening doesn't make you smaller, it makes you bigger in someone else's heart. As Oprah Winfrey once said, "Everyone just wants one thing, to be heard, to be seen, and to know they matter." Hand pointing right. Have you ever unintentionally made a loved one feel unheard? What could you do differently, starting with your very next conversation? Number 7. Pushing others away because you don't want to ask for help. "I'm fine, I've got it." Maybe you've said that to someone offering to help. It sounds confident, independent. But are you really choosing strength, or quietly pushing yourself into isolation? Margaret, 77, had always taken pride in being a strong, capable woman. One afternoon, she tried lifting a heavy bag of groceries from her car into the house. A polite young man approached and asked, "Would you like some help, ma'am?" She gave a half smile and replied, "No thanks, I can manage." The result? Her back tightened up, and she couldn't sleep for a week. But the part that hurt the most wasn't the pain, it was the realization that she had made herself more vulnerable, not because of age, but because of pride. From a neurological perspective, Harvard Health notes that when we give or receive help, the brain activates areas tied to joy and connection like the ventral striatum and the medial prefrontal cortex. So when we reject help, we're not just denying a need, we're cutting off a powerful moment of human connection. Start small with a simple nod of yes. Let someone carry your bag. Let them hold the door. Let your grandchild set up your phone. It's not weakness, it's allowing others to show they care. As Oprah Winfrey once said, "Nobody wants to feel useless." When you let someone help you, you're telling them, "I need you." Hand pointing right. Are you turning away helping hands just because you're afraid it'll make you seem weak? If you gave someone that chance, what might change inside you? Number 8. Saving so much that you forget to enjoy life. Have you ever hesitated to spend money on a dinner with an old friend, or a weekend getaway with family, thinking, what if I need that money later? If so, you're not alone. Many older adults live with a sense of caution, saving so much that they slowly forget the joy of living. Robert, 83, had over $120,000 in savings. But when his lifelong friend invited him on a weekend fishing trip, a tradition since their youth, he declined. Too expensive. 1 month later, that friend passed away. At his next checkup, Robert told me with tears in his eyes, I saved for a day that never came. This mindset, known as a scarcity mindset, is common among those who live through financial hardship. Even when they are financially secure, the fear of not enough lingers. According to research in behavioral economics, this often leads people to prioritize saving over experiencing life. But studies from the Harvard Study of Adult Development show that it's not the size of your bank account that predicts long-term health and happiness, it's the quality of your relationships. So try this. Create a small joy fund guilt-free. Spend it on things that foster connection. A meal with loved ones. A community art class. Even just a ride across town to visit an old friend. Your emotional and mental health will thank you. Hand pointing right. Is there something you've been putting off just in case? What joy might be waiting for you if you allowed yourself to say yes? Number 9. Talking down to younger generations. Back in our day, we didn't have phones, we just played outside. It sounds innocent enough, but to younger people, phrases that begin with "back then" can feel dismissive or even judgmental. Dorothy, 80, adores her grandson, Ethan. But every time he excitedly talks about his favorite video game, she sighs and says, "You kids are always glued to screens. Why don't you go outside like we used to?" Ethan started talking less. Until one day, when she asked him why, he quietly replied, "I just feel like you don't respect my world." Dorothy was speechless. From a neuroscience perspective, aging reduces neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and accept new information. This makes older adults more inclined to stick with what's familiar. Younger people, on the other hand, are wired for exploration and creativity. That difference alone can create a silent rift between generations. But there's a simple shift that can bridge the gap. Move from judgment to curiosity. Instead of asking, "Why do you waste time on those games?" try asking, "What do you like about that game?" Find the common ground, not the difference. Elon Musk once said that video games sparked his early passion for coding and building technology. Sometimes, you don't need to fully understand what young people love. You just need to show them you want to understand. Hand pointing right. Have you ever caught yourself talking about the good old days so much that you forgot to ask how the person in front of you is living today? What might you do differently next time you chat with your children or grandkids? Number 10. Holding on to resentment and regret from the past. Have you ever thought back to an old argument and even after decades, your heart still races, your throat tightens? Resentment doesn't just live in your memory, it lives in your body. And the danger is, it quietly poisons your days, one moment at a time. Louisa, 75, hadn't spoken to her sister in 22 years after a bitter dispute over the family inheritance. They didn't fight openly anymore, but every week, she'd bring it up to a friend, or replay it in her own mind. Until one day, her therapist gently suggested, "Write her a letter. But don't send it." So Louisa wrote. Then she burned the letter. Then she cried. And for the first time in 2 decades, she picked up the phone. According to Harvard Medical School, holding onto a long-term anger increases cortisol and adrenaline, your body's stress hormones. Over time, this weakens your immune system, raises your blood pressure, disrupts sleep, impairs memory, and raises your risk of heart disease. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone else off the hook. It's about setting yourself free. Try this: write out the pain uncensored, unedited, raw. Then tear it up or burn it as a small act of release. Remind yourself, I'm not forgiving because they deserve it. I'm forgiving because I deserve peace. Hand pointing right. Is there something you're still carrying that no longer serves your life today? Are you ready to let it go just a little so you can breathe easier starting now? Number 11. Ignoring health issues, when denial becomes dangerous. Are you quietly brushing off occasional dizziness, sudden blurry vision, or constant fatigue, telling yourself, it's probably just old age? The scary part is this: many serious health issues begin with subtle symptoms, so subtle that they are easy to dismiss. But in medicine, delay can be the difference between a simple fix and a serious complication. Ron, 72, often felt lightheaded when standing up. He joked with his wife, "Probably too much salt." One morning, he fainted in the kitchen and fractured his hip. Tests later revealed it was just an interaction between 2 blood pressure medications, something that could have been easily adjusted if caught earlier. According to the National Institute on Aging, more than 80% of age-related chronic conditions can be managed effectively if they are detected early. For example, dizziness might signal dehydration or reduced blood flow to the brain. Ongoing fatigue could be due to thyroid issues, low B12, or heart problems. Sudden weight loss may be an early sign of cancer. It's time to shift your mindset. Getting older doesn't mean you have to settle for feeling weaker. Be proactive. Schedule regular check-ups. Write down even the small changes. And listen to your body the way you'd listen to a close friend, with patience, but also attention when something feels off. Hand pointing right. Have you ever put off seeing a doctor because you thought it'll probably go away on its own? If someone you love had the same symptoms, would you urge them to get checked? Then why not offer that same care to yourself? Number 12. Forgetting to laugh, losing touch with joy. When you stop laughing out loud like you used to, it's not just a sign of silence, it could be a sign of a weakened immune system, low mood, and fading connection. Laughter isn't just a happy reaction, it's a survival reflex. It's one of the most powerful natural medicines science has ever studied. Nora, 80, used to be the funniest woman on the block. But after her husband passed away, her days became a quiet loop, watching the news, reading gloomy financial updates, and going to bed early. Everything was fine but empty. Until one evening, a neighbor invited her over to watch the classic comedy Some Like It Hot. Halfway through, Nora laughed so hard she cried. The next morning, she called her daughter, beaming. "Guess what I did last night?" It was a question she hadn't asked in months. According to research from Stanford University, Laughter reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, improves blood flow, boosts memory, and strengthens immunity. It even triggers the release of endorphins, your brain's natural feel-good chemicals. Older adults who laugh regularly have up to 45% lower rates of depression, and live on average 7 years longer than those who don't laugh often. So go out of your way to invite joy into your day. Schedule some daily laughter, whether it's watching a funny video, calling your grandkids, or just laughing at yourself when you spill your coffee. Remember, if laughter is medicine, then you're holding a prescription that's free, unlimited, and completely side effect free. Hand pointing right, when was the last time you laughed so hard you couldn't stop? What could you do today to bring that kind of joy back just for yourself? Here's the truth, aging isn't just about losing youth, it's about gaining clarity. Maybe you saw yourself in one of these habits. Maybe you saw someone you love. Either way, change starts with awareness, and grows with courage. You don't have to transform overnight. Just start with one small shift. Greet someone with curiosity instead of criticism. Say yes when someone offers to help. Put on your favorite shirt even if no one else will see it. Ask your grandchild about their favorite app and really listen. These aren't big actions, but they open big doors. As Oprah Winfrey once said, you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. And sometimes, all it takes is the courage to ask yourself, am I building bridges or walls? Your action plan? Pick just one habit from today's video that resonated most. Write it down. Practice it this week. And notice how your world starts to feel a little warmer, a little closer, and a lot more alive. Which habit spoke to you the loudest today? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your story.